Hello, and thank you for watching this quick tip of the day brought to you by Bender Insurance Solutions. My name is Chad Watts, and I'm your construction risk and insurance specialist. Today, we'll discuss the general liability insurance policy. This should help you understand what to look out for when reviewing them. I first want to point out that the basic insuring agreement of a general liability policy is usually pretty even amongst different insurance companies. Not always. It's when the insurance companies begin to attach their endorsements and exclusions that you see a separation between a good policy, a better policy, and the best policies. Some company forms are punitive. Some shut down coverage altogether. And some are just so ambiguous that you don't know how the courts will determine coverage. I'll show you an example in a minute, but I want you to know and understand that not all insurance policies are created equal. In fact, a contractor could get 3 insurance quotes, but they're all different in what they will cover. This is important because it's not the $1 million limit that defines the coverage or determines the premium. It's in fact the insuring agreement and the list of endorsements and exclusions that define the coverage. So when you experience a claim, these are a few of the steps that a claims adjuster will go through to determine whether coverage exists or not. First, is there property damage or bodily injury? Next, did the claim occur within the policy period? And occur is the key word here, because it's not when did the claim get reported, it's not when was the work done, it's when did the property damage or bodily injury occur. Next, the adjuster looks to see if there are any endorsements that limit or exclude coverage. And this is where you see the policy either rise to the occasion or fail you. Now, let's look at an example. From 2016 to 2020, a contractor was involved in residential construction and had to buy a policy that would cover residential work. But when they stopped doing residential work in 2022, this contractor bought a policy that had a residential exclusion because it was cheaper. And they thought that it was okay because they no longer did residential work. They either didn't get good advice or they didn't listen to the advice, because that exclusion is going to have an impact on future claims. Because if you built a home in 2016 and a claim occurs in 2022, then that residential exclusion leaves you uninsured for that loss. That 2022 policy has a residential exclusion. Remember, for coverage to trigger, you must have covered damages that occur within the policy term without any endorsements that limit or exclude coverage. In this scenario, because the property damage occurred in 2022, the 2022 policy is the one that should respond, but it has an exclusion saying no coverage for residential work. Think about it. This is important information that your team needs to understand, how the list of exclusions on your policy will affect your coverage. This is just one example of many exclusions you could see on your policy if you're not giving good advice or asking the right questions. So, what to take into consideration when you are talking about your general liability insurance? Well, you need to understand the statutes that leave you liable years after work is complete and how certain endorsements or exclusions could be problematic. So when we talk about insurance with a contractor, we have to make sure that the current policy will respond to any work you've done within the statutes. And we're talking about 10 years. The next thing to consider is, when will you have a claim? You never know when you're going to have a claim. So you need to make sure that you're covered for all the work done within those statutes. You also want to consider who's helping you make educated decisions and offering an opinion that will protect you and your company. The general liability policy can get complicated when dealing with statutes and exclusion. Can your broker explain the difference between a statute of limitations or a statute of repose? Can they give examples? These are basic principles not all agents understand. You need good advice and even when it's not what you hope to hear. Look at your exclusions, read them, understand them, and discuss them with your broker. Make sure you're covered appropriately. The next time you have a broker tell you they can save you money, get you something cheaper, now you know what they should be talking about. All right. Remember, it's not the $1 million limit that defines your coverage or determines your price. It's the terms and conditions in the insuring agreement. I want to thank you again for watching. You see my contact information there on the screen. If you have any questions about your insurance program, or if you'd like another set of eyes looking at things, you can email me or call me. Thanks. Have a great day.